welcome back in Casey's Kitchen here at Boots and Bounty Homestead. This is our follow-up to our homemade kombucha, or our accidental kombucha. So if you've been following me since we did our apple processing, and we processed and started the process of making apple cider vinegar, this is where the kombucha started. So if you need to go back and watch that video, it is our apple cider vinegar. That's how I started making the apple cider vinegar. And then there's another video that is apple cider vinegar, or ACV, to kombucha. And that'll show you where this process has began. Now, if you're following along with me and doing this along with me, then we are about 2 weeks in. And we have some pretty SCOBYs going on. There's one on the bottom, which is the original one, and then this is our new one. So every time you make a batch of kombucha, you'll get a new layer. So now what we're going to do, this starts the fun part, is we have got to, if you want to, you don't have to, but we're going to flavor it. And this is where you can start making all kinds of flavors. But I just need to get your foot wet, and then you can go ahead and start experimenting and exploring all the options. Now, I have made this for a few months now, since over the summer, and I have found that this is my favorite. It's the V8 V-Fusion Peach Mango. The key to buying juices is that they are 100% juice. You can even look back here on the nutritional facts and find where it says 100% juice. Because if you buy something of the equivalent, I'll say it that way, if you buy something else, look on the back and you may find it'll have anywhere from 1% to about 17% is the highest that I found of juice. What the heck is the rest of it? So make sure you read your labels. Get 100% juice. It doesn't have to be fruit. I want to start you off showing you a fruit, because this is going to be the equivalent of like a fruit tea, if you will. So that's the one I have found that is my favorite. And let me get into explaining a few more ways that you can also flavor your kombucha, and then you can choose which route you want to go. Okay, so like I said, you can buy 100% juice. You can make your own juice, which we've done apple juice and peach juice that I've got videos for on here. And you can use those because you know what you put in it because it's homemade. You can also use fresh fruit. Now, you can use what you want to in the garden, like right now and earlier this summer, you could have maybe stored up some berries, some strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, whatever berry you grow, even elderberry. And you might have frozen them, or maybe just canned them in some sugar juice or something. You can put those in here. You can use the frozen berries, fresh berries, whatever. You can buy fruit at the store, you know, your watermelons, cantaloupes, peaches, whatever, if you want to do it that route. I like to just use the juice just because it's a quick flavoring. The fruit is not going to be as strong or as sweet, but that may be what you like. So you're just going to have to kind of experiment with what you want, what you're looking for, but you got to have the initial tasting, and see what to expect. Disclaimer, if you buy the store-bought kombucha, and around here they sell GTs, but if you buy the store-bought kombucha in the little glass bottles in the refrigerated section, to me, those are very strong. Okay, that got me to making it the way I'm fixing to show you. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to process it, and to show you different ways that you can choose on your tasting to see what you're going to like, because everybody's going to have a different taste that they want. So first of all, we made this kombucha, this half gallon, but we're fixing to use it all. Or you can start off with just one if you want to. You can just use a little bit if you want to. But to get a whole nother batch going of whatever size you made, you can make a quart, you can make a half gallon, you can make 3 gallons, whatever you want to make. This is now our starter to our next batch. Okay, So what we've got to do, and I'm going to back up a second. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, let me show you what this looks like as well. So, come down here. And, gotta turn it just a little bit. Okay, you see it's kind of white. Okay. And a little brown, little cream colored. The white part is the new SCOBY growing. Remember when we put this in here, it was like bleach white. So now that we have grown another SCOBY, the first one kind of turned the color of our tea. And so our new one is going to be white. So now what we've got to do, because if there's any mold or anything on here, you're going to have to get rid of it because you're growing bad bacteria. So what we've got to do is we got to reach in here, or you can use a fork or tongs or something, and we've got to get that SCOBY out, okay? Because we're going to use up all of this. So let's reach down in there and get you little slimy pancakes. And here is, this is our first one with the new one growing on top of it. And this is the second one that we put in there. We put two in there. This is the big first one. This is the second part, or the part of the second one that has the new SCOBY growing on it, okay? So in that other video, I showed putting one whole SCOBY in here and a part of one. So the one that's a partial one is growing the new SCOBY. What we need to do is take, depending on the amount that you want to make for your second batch, you can take anywhere from a half a cup to 2 cups. So for a half a gallon, I keep about a cup, and we're going to pour that in here with this SCOBY, okay? And I've just got this in a clear bowl, so y'all can keep an eye on it for me. And we're just going to pour a cup in here. And I'm not measuring it. No big deal. It's just an estimate. So we've got our SCOBY with our starter kombucha in there. Okay. Now that you've touched it, I'm going to go wash my hands. Alright. This is where the fun begins. You don't have to have any special equipment or anything like that to do your next step. Okay. I'm going to show you the way I started making it and the way I've been making it, which is 2 different ways. Now everybody says that kombucha is a fizzy drink, it's carbonated, it's a replacement for soda and all of that. And if you're not one that drinks carbonation or has bad reflux, or you know, gas just is not your friend, let's make some kombucha fresh. Okay, this is what I mean. Now there's going to be little bits of the SCOBY left in here, and that's completely fine. Come on up here and join me. We're going to mix a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to use a jar, and actually for this portion of the video you can use a glass because this is going to be a fresh kombucha. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my juice, and I'm going to put about a half a cup in the bottom. This is a pint, so I'm just going to put about a half a cup. Now if you are using the kombucha that you bought the first time, or if you've ever bought kombucha, save those jars and you can do this in those jars as well. But you want a glass jar that does have a lid. So what we're going to do, and you can strain this if you want to, I'm not going to judge, I don't like the slimy stuff either. But what we're going to do is just fill this up to about the rim. So you'll have about a half a cup of juice and 1.5 cups of the kombucha. Okay. Now see, it's not very fizzy. You've got some bubbles up here. You've got a few bubbles. Not a whole lot. Now if you don't like the carbonation, go ahead and drink it this way. And I would recommend, if you've never drank kombucha, start with about half of this, or even a half a cup. A half to 1 cup a day. Daily, okay? Because your gut has to get used to this. If not, it will make your tummy ache. Now, that's the first way that I made it, just to get a taste for it. Come on up here. Okay, so this is the first way that I made it, just to get a taste for kombucha, to see which ones I would like, the different juices and stuff like that. That's how I settled on the peach mango. Now, you're going to hear a lot about a second fermentation. What that is you basically take what you just did, which is your half a cup of juice and your cup and a half of starter kombucha. You've poured it together, and now you're going to put a lid on this. Let me run and get. This is also pertaining to when you see people make them in the bottles with the flip tops. You know, they have, I think I got one. Yep. This has a flip top on it. You're going to see a lot of people making kombucha in these, and that's great if you want to put that investment into it. Like I said, the first part, just use a jar or a glass. The second part, this is where I use pint jars, simply because starting out, you may want to try different flavors. Well, if you pour your juice into a half gallon of kombucha, it's all one flavor. So what you can do is you can get either pints, or you can even do half pints. Just do a quarter of it in juice and the rest of it in kombucha. And I mean, you can use fruit. If you don't have any juice, just throw your fruit in there and just kind of see how it tastes. If you use fruit, you've got to do this second fermentation. What I mean by that, you've got to put a top on your mixture. Now, if you did 3/4 of the kombucha tea and then fill the rest of it up with fruit, you're going to put the top on it, either in this or something like this, and you can use plastic or your regular lids, whatever you want to do. You've got to close it. You've got to screw it down or pop the top on it all the way down. And this is where you've heard the burping comes into play. Some juices only take about 6 hours to ferment in that second fermentation. Other juices may take up to a week. You've got to play around with it, and you've got to start tasting it. So right now that you have made your first mixture, taste it. Remember that taste. And if you want the carbonation, you've got to put a top on it and trap those gases. The important part to remember is that you've got to burp it, which is just let it loose and close it about every 12 hours. If you don't, there will be consequences, and they won't be pretty. So remember, you've got to burp it. You've got to release those gases. Now, as you are releasing the gases and burping your flavored teas, you will start to see the bubbles. Okay. Now, let me see if I've got one over here. Let me show you. I have made mine in apple cider vinegar jugs, and just because they're glass and they have a cap. Okay, you can use anything. So this is, I did this one about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago. And I got it to the point that I wanted it. I didn't want it too strong. So then I stuck it in the refrigerator, and that slows it down to almost a stop. But it does keep going, okay? It does keep fermenting. So after you stick it in the refrigerator and get it cold, it will drastically slow it down. So that's why I need you to watch this and test it on a daily basis. Now, if it starts to get that vinegar smell or taste, you can either put a little bit more tea in there or a little bit more juice and then stick it in the refrigerator. Because, I mean, just because it's starting to taste like vinegar, it does not mean anything has changed except the taste. You can water that down a little bit with either adding more tea or more fruit, putting the top on it, stick it in the refrigerator, and then you can start drinking it. You know, you can drink it anytime. If you like it hot, more power to you. It burns my throat. But if you like it hot, you can drink it hot. If you like it cold, put it in the refrigerator. If you do leave it out, it's going to continue to get stronger. So if you're not drinking it immediately, stick it in the fridge. But back to the bubbles. Okay, so you see I've got a little SCOBY up here. It's just some little floaters. And then I've got all of this mother down here in the bottom. And this is doing exactly what we did here. And I leave my peach mango out for about 2 days. And that's where I like it. And then I stop it. Like I said earlier, some ferment faster than others. So just on a daily basis, keep a testing. And if you start to get to that vinegar point, go ahead and stick it in the refrigerator or add just a little bit to it. Let me show you the bubbles. You hear the fizz? This may not do it since it's a little cold. But you will also notice whenever I opened it, I don't know if you could see it or not, but some stuff started floating up, like the gas bubbles was pushing it up, so you couldn't see it here. Now, since I'm going to flavor all of this, I'm going to pour this back in my jug, because I'm going to show you guys something. Okay. So, I've got my jar here now. Let me get some ice and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Got some ice, because I like mine cold, like I said. I'm going to pour some for you. Now, like I said, this is about a month old. This has been about in the refrigerator for 3 weeks. So, it fermented for a few days, and then I mixed it. I mixed it, fermented it for a few days, and then I put it in the refrigerator. So, it's been in the refrigerator about 3 weeks. I'm going to show you the carbonation. Isn't that pretty? Now, whenever you drink this, it is carbonated, believe me. So that's the kind of carbonation that you want to be going for if you're going for a carbonated drink. See all the pretty bubbles? That's the kind of carbonation you're going for. But, like I said, this is totally to get you started. I hope I did not just explode your mind. But we've also got to do something with this SCOBY over here. I got to cover mine up for a second. Okay. We'll cover that SCOBY up until I get through talking to you guys. Okay. So we put the SCOBY in there, in the bowl. Put about a cup of the kombucha starter tea with it. Next we poured a quarter of whatever vessel you are putting this in of what we did was juice. Fill it up the rest of the way with the tea. You can drink it that way or put the cap on it. If you want to invest in these bottles, go for it. I don't even know where I got that one. I think a friend gave it to me. I don't even use it. I just use my jars. But you can just mix the juice and tea together, drink it right then as a sweet fruit tea. You still get the same benefits. If you ferment your fruits with it, it just feeds that bacteria more and creates that carbonation. The carbonation is created from the bacteria and yeast eating that sugar. So you're still going to get the benefits. The second fermentation will be a little more active. But some people can't process the carbonation and the gas, which is perfectly fine. So the second fermentation will make you this. And you're done with the kombucha drink part of it, okay? We still got our SCOBY over here in the bowl, though. It's still hanging out in the background. So what you're going to do what we did first time, was make your tea with your tea bags. Go back and watch that video. It's ACV to kombucha. I'll try to link it up here or down in the description. Make your tea with your tea bags. Let it cool off to room temperature. Pour it in whatever vessel you're going to make your next batch in. Then you're going to put this SCOBY and the tea in it. Wait a week, and then it'll be ready to do this, exactly what we did, all over again. You'll notice your SCOBY is going to get thicker and thicker and thicker. You can take those layers off after a few batches and start giving them to friends. When you separate them, they'll already just be apart anyways. Put them in a bag or a jar with about a cup of the starter tea, and you can give it away and give somebody instructions to it. If I remember, I'll try to put the instructions that I give to people down in the description. You can just copy paste it onto a Word or PDF and print it off. So, with all of that being said, I think I've got it covered. If you have any questions, please let me know below. I'm going to try to remember to leave a link below to where there is a guy, or a couple of guys. They're called Kombucha Brothers, but that's not the name of the channel. I'll have to go find them. But I'll put their link in the description. And they did a video, it was either last year or year before last, where they did a bunch of experimenting. And they did like cucumber watermelon, or cucumber cantaloupe. They did mints. You can put herbs in these. You can go for more savory, or you can go sweet. You can, I tell you, the options to flavoring this is limitless. But I just want you to get your feet wet. Stick your big toe in there and get it wet and see what you want to do. And you may be like me. Once I kind of find what I like, I kind of stick to that and I don't sway away from it too much. But that's why it's good to proportion your kombucha batch like this. You can portion it out into about maybe like a half of a pint or something, and then flavor it from there and do your second fermentations if you like, if that's something you like to do. Some people don't. And just try different things. Try different flavor combinations. You can do blackberries, you can do hibiscus, you can do any kind of berry, any kind of fruit really that I know of. The only thing is you don't really do vegetables or something with it, you know, nothing like that. But you can do some, maybe like some herbs, like an apple mint, or you can figure out like a sprig of rosemary or something that is a good combination with something. I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment, but some kind of fruit that goes along with like an apple, maybe apple rosemary or something, like apple rosemary chicken. You can do an apple rosemary kombucha. I don't know. I mean, there's so many options out there. You just gotta start exploring, start Googling it, start YouTubing it. But this is a very good way for your gut health, to swap off of the sodas onto kombucha, to help your immune system. This is part of disease treatment right here. This is what people of higher statutes don't want you to know about, because of the potential of curing diseases and preventing those diseases, keeping yourself healthy, getting rid of what you have, or not getting anything at all. You know, this is where it starts, is your gut health, learning these old traits, because this has been around for, I don't even know how long kombucha's been around, like hundreds of years. And that's where, you know, they went from like kombuchas into wines and to vinegars. All of that is the same process, the exact same process. And we've lost touch with that over the years. So anyways, now that I've thrown a whole bunch of information at you, I hope I simplified it and for you to understand what's happening, what's going on, and what to do with this in your next step. So now, after you take care of this jug and get it all laid out in all of your little jars sitting down in a row with all your teas and juices and everything poured in it, and you're getting ready to start experimenting, wash this jar, put your SCOBY and your tea back in it. You've brewed your tea, let it cool down to room temperature, and added your sugar, your 1 cup of sugar, just like we did in the last video. Pour that in there, stick it over in the corner, and let it sit for a week while you enjoy the kombucha that you have just created. Let me know what combinations and flavors you've tried, maybe that you want to try, what might sound good. I may experiment with a few of them and just kind of see what we can come up with. So you guys hang around and let's see if you guys give me any good ideas. I might actually try some. If you have any recipes, send them to me for Subscriber Saturday. Either mail them to me or email them to me. Both of those are in the description below. Get them to me. And if you have a kombucha recipe that I try, that might even be in the Subscriber Saturday video series. So, until next time, guys, we'll see you later. And happy kombucha! That has a unique taste of its own.